So Gran Turismo 7 is finally here, and whilst a few people have aired their negative opinions on the game and the things that they dislike, myself included, there are certainly more things to enjoy about this game and appreciate than there are to dislike. So in this video, I want to share my top 5 favourite features of the game, some things you may not have experienced yet, some things you may not yet have seen or even knew existed. So let's jump into it. Number 1 on the list is dynamic weather. Now this was probably the most highly anticipated feature of this game. We've been wanting dynamic weather on Gran Turismo since forever. Although GT Sport did allow us to do some races in the wet, it always seems as if the physics was maybe just a little bit off. That said, I don't know for sure. I've never driven around Spa in the wet, let alone do it in a Group 3 Porsche 911. But the fact that we now have dry patches appearing on racing lines, the need and the ability to change from intermediates or wet tyres to slicks based on our read on the weather, our predictions on the weather, is absolutely incredible and definitely throws a much needed, I think, curveball into the races, particularly for the multiplayer and online daily races as well. I really do hope the dynamic weather plays as big a part in the daily races as we perhaps all like, especially that we've seen the capabilities already there on the multiplayer lobbies, and it already plays a big part in the campaign mode. And this is where I especially love this feature, because the campaign races, let's be honest, can be quite dull and easily forgotten once you've completed them. But the fact that each attempt can throw up a different weather can keep it interesting, especially if it's a track that may take you a few attempts to get first place or gold. Really enjoy that feature, highly rated. Well done, Polyphony. Number 2 on the list is physics and tuning. Now the tuning side of things has of course already caused some very mixed opinions. I myself am split straight down the middle. I love the concept of it, but I do fear that it could alienate a few people, or those who don't have the best understanding of tuning. But I love the fact that the tiniest of tweaks make such a huge difference. You really genuinely can feel the difference in the cars. And you can tell whether or not you've improved or made the tune of the car worse. I did feel that with GT Sport, whilst the overall look of the tuning, I much preferred the layout of GT Sport, I've got to be honest. There was elements of the tuning that you couldn't feel, I found, unless it was really significant. Going from 0 downforce to full downforce, for example, and things like that. Dramatic changes, I feel that you felt. And although you could make changes and be faster or slower on the track, it was difficult to understand or know exactly what was making those differences. With GT7, I think that you feel every single change, which really adds a lot more nuances to the tuning, to the tracks, to the cars, and to the races themselves. This is obviously good in the sense it adds another level of reality, another level of realism in terms of the physics, but I actually think the biggest advantage is that we ourselves now are forced to have and will develop a better understanding of what makes a good tune in a car. Number 3 on the list is mixed class racing, and since we now have a focus on performance power as opposed to sticking so regimentally into the classes, I think this, especially with Daily Race A and B, already allowing us to do this, I think this is going to be cemented in the daily races and online racing, which I can only see as a good thing, to be perfectly honest. A little bit more variety and all that sort of stuff. Whether or not that runs all the way up to having Group 2, 3 and 4 cars race against the Group 1s, the LMP cars, well, that remains to be seen, although it has been teased already with that kind of footage being shown at Le Mans in some of the trailers. So fingers crossed we see that. Whether or not it's reserved for the championships and the longer form races, who knows? Excited to see what it brings. I only think this can be seen as a good thing. Number 4 on my list of favourite things is the time progression, the real world time progression that Polyphony put such a huge focus on their gameplay releases and their trailers and all that sort of stuff, talking about how they had replicated the likes of the night sky, sunrises, sunsets across all areas of the world, and they have done a tremendous job on this. It looks incredible. Their late night driving, night skies, it just looks awesome in the races, and the thought of daily races, FIA races, or possibly some longer form endurance races being able to represent this as we go is incredible. Tie that in with the dynamic weather that we mentioned earlier, and I think we are on to an absolute winner. So number 5 on my list, and this is without doubt my favourite feature on this game. Some people haven't even noticed it yet, and it is pit lane exit penalties. You now get penalised if you cross the exit line on the pit lane and you do not stay within that line. You get a penalty, and rightly so. There is nothing worse Think of turn one, Suzuka, Barcelona. Nothing worse going into turn one and having someone come out of the pit lane, dodge straight over to the left-hand side, right alongside you, going half the speed, or right in front of you, half the speed, causing a huge crash, huge collision, lots of time lost, potentially your race ruined. Nothing worse. I do want to see pit lane entry as well. I want to see you be penalised if you cross the white line on the pit lane entry. Because if you think of Red Bull Ring, that penultimate corner, or second to last corner, you need to be in the pit lane on the straight, not entering the pit lane, taking the racing line round the corner, then entering the pit lane. Get rid of that. That is no good. But for now, pit lane exit penalties, tremendous. Real godsend. There we are then. That is my top 5 features of Gran Turismo 7. There are many more features on this, by the way, but these are just my top 5 favourite things. My list of things that I disliked was a little bit longer, admittedly, but these features are absolutely awesome, and I think there are so many things to enjoy within those features that they just totally outdo anything that there is to complain about this game. It is awesome, it is tremendous, it is epic, it is amazing. It definitely borders now on a real, it should be considered a real sim racing game, which I think is a huge step forward. When you compared the physics of this to many other games, or kind of particularly the racing side of things, GT Sport was still always seen as a game. Now I think we can potentially start actually calling it the real world driving simulator that it does market itself as. Huge step forward for the game, huge step forward for Polyphony. Credit to them, this is awesome. Can't wait to spend many hours on this game, recording videos, recording content, live streaming as well, and just generally enjoying the races. So let me know your favourite features of the game. Do comment below the things you like and the things you dislike. What would you rate this game out of 10? For me, I think it's a 9.5. I think it's very much there. My video on the things that I dislike, if we could discount all of them, if we could fix all of them, we'd be at a 10 out of 10 for sure. Really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have done, make sure to subscribe. Plenty more videos on the way as always. Plenty live streams, plenty of content, plenty races, plenty videos, everything. All things GT7 for the foreseeable. Really hope you've enjoyed it, and I shall catch you in the next one. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe for future videos, future episodes, and more content just like this. And while you're down there, make sure you check out our description for links to our merch store to get hold of awesome t-shirts just like this one. Any orders on the merch store goes a long way to supporting channels just like this. I also think the t-shirts look pretty cool, so make sure you grab what you can, and I shall see you in the next episode.